let's quickly move on. Interesting situation on the polls there, Ella, because Rishi Sunak, to his credit, I think, has sought to open up clear blue water between the Tories and Labour on a series of issues, the main one, of course, being carbon net zero or the green issues. So he's delaying the ban on petrol and diesel cars until 2035. That's gone down well. Said, we're going to row back on many of our green pledges. So basically, if you want to vote not to have a car, to have hundreds of pounds levies on your energy bills, not to be allowed to go to Spain on your holidays, etc., vote Labour. But if you want to be left alone with all this greenery, vote Tory. The interesting thing, I mean, it's a good political move by him, whatever you think of the constituents of his argument. He's cut Keir Starmer's lead by 8 points. He's only 16 behind, so it worked.
Well, I mean, it's a kind of a no-brainer. We know that there hasn't been any real democratic discussion about the issue of net zero. We know that when it's put to the test in elections, like in the by-election in Uxbridge, it's pretty clear what people think about it. We can, you don't need to go through a whole lot of polling to understand that the net zero question quite often comes down class lines, that it's people who can't afford to just go out tomorrow and buy an electric car or completely retrofit their house that are sort of, slightly worried about the cost of living crisis and what green levies might do to their pocket. But I have to be petulant and say that, as much as I think a move on this is very welcome, and, Rishi Sunak is using the language of the Academy of Ideas in terms of talking about wanting a new debate, so maybe we can take credit for that. But he hasn't moved on the overarching ideology of net zero.
The carbon net zero, that's what I say. You should get rid of that. Then we will be free of all the green claptrap. But sticking with carbon net zero, it's typical of Sunak. Look, I've completely changed course, but I haven't really.
No, he's just delaying. He was quite clear, actually, that he's just delaying the pain. In fact, he went out of his way in his speech to say things are going to be really bad. Don't worry. We haven't given up on the net zero idea, and we know that things are going to get difficult, but just not for now. And I think the idea that people are going to be able to find the thousands of pounds that net zero is going to cost them, whether it's for heating or driving or whatever it is, between now and 2025, now and 2030. I mean, with a government that hasn't got any plans to boost the economy in any kind of way, in any kind of substantial way, I don't know where that magic money is going to fall from for people, but maybe Rishi Sunak has something up his sleeve in the future. Who knows?
I doubt it. Just another headline grabber. You know what it's like. Talking of which, this is a headline grabber that Rishi won't like, but it's quite extraordinary. I need to get your last thoughts on this, Ella. HS2. I mean, it's absolutely mind-boggling. Some people say, I mean, working out how much we've spent on this project, some people say that by the time we've finished the single leg of it from London to Birmingham, it'll be about £53 billion. But others are saying, actually, the real cost will be about £180 billion. What do we get for that? I mean, the whole idea of the project was to link Britain with this kind of Y-shaped spine, a state-of-the-art modern railway system straight to Birmingham and then zoom up to Leeds if you want, and hurtle up to Manchester if you want to go the other way. Well, they got rid of Leeds, they got rid of Manchester, so it looks as if we might have spent £180 billion on a train line that no one needed. We didn't need to get to Birmingham any faster. And in actual fact, because the train line doesn't finish in central Birmingham, nor does it finish in central London, that actually the travel time, the distance time by HS2 from London to Birmingham will be rather slower than it is right now. I mean, this is a massive, massive scandal, an enormous waste of public money, and Rishi Sunak and indeed the Labour Party, they're looking at the costs and say, we've got to ditch this, and that is a disgrace.
It is a disgrace. We should be on HS2 by now. I mean, we know that the country is screaming for a better transport system and better infrastructure. I mean, just on a basic level, if you're going to start making it more difficult for people to drive, you're going to have to put something in its place, whether it be trains or buses or whatever. And this is just another example of the government reframing abject failure as sort of sensible management. So the Grant Shapps and lots of other sort of Tory MPs have come out recently and said, well, it's perfectly reasonable for us to rethink this in light of the costs, as if the costs have been created by, you know, someone else, somewhere else, you know, that this isn't the government's fault. It is terrible that it seems like in this country, it was meant to be a developed Western country, that nothing can be built, nothing can run, nothing works. And I think that frustration, however much announcements on net zero or anything else Rishi Sunak engages in, is going to continue until the next election unless they pull their finger out and do something substantial.
And without HS2, and we're not getting HS2 now, London to Birmingham almost doesn't count. Levelling up, you can forget it. Levelling up can't happen.
Oh, who even remembers that? That's like a phrase that consigned to the dustbin of history. Who even talks about levelling up anymore?
Well, I'm putting it in the dustbin now because it's never going to happen. Ella, next time let's talk for longer. Great to talk to you, really good. That was Ella Whelan, columnist at Spiked Online.